About the Automation Studio in Marketing Cloud. This video is very specific to the candidates who are looking for Marketing Cloud admin certifications. So I'm just going over some topics about Automation Studio. What is Automation Studio in Marketing Cloud, and what are the different things we can do in Automation Studio? So primarily, Automation Studio is an application. Marketing Cloud is another module in Marketing Cloud where you can, you know, have your activities to schedule your emails or schedule your triggers to send out the data to different streams, or you wanna you wanna execute some activities on file drops or something. So basically it's a kind of an automation activities where you send emails or you import files, or if you want to do SQL queries. So all those activities, if you want to perform in Marketing Cloud, automation is a tool which you should be using to do that. So quick overview, Market Cloud is, I just gave. So let's talk about the starting resources. So this is the UI of Marketing Cloud Automation Studio, how it looks like at this moment. In the screenshot, you have only two options: schedule, file drop, but technically there are three options at this moment: schedule, file drop, and triggered automation. So what happens is, if you want to schedule your automation at certain time, like on a nightly basis, or on a hourly basis, or on a probably monthly basis or yearly basis, then what you can do is you can schedule. You can just drag and drop this schedule piece over here, and then make it active and put up your activities, and this automation will run on a scheduled time, like hourly or monthly or yearly, whatever we need. Then second item is file drop. File drop is a kind of an activity or starting resource which will be triggered the moment you drop a file on Marketing Cloud FTP server. So let's say example, if there's an external party who wants to drop a file on this Marketing Cloud FTP server, and the moment the file got dropped, you want to execute that file or import that file into Marketing Cloud, or you want to send out the emails to all the recipients of that file, then this particular file drop starting resource can be used in Automation Studio. Triggered automation is also very much similar, but the difference between triggered automation and file drop is triggered automations can be done on external resources. Let's say example, you have an AWS S3 bucket and you want to you want to drop a file in S3 instead of Marketing or FTP server. Then what you're gonna do is you're gonna have a file locations in Marketing Cloud, which I'm gonna cover a little bit later. You create a file location, you define your AWS S3, you define your location of S3, and then use that S3 location into the starting source. And the moment the file got dropped on Amazon S3 or Google Cloud or Azure Cloud, whatever the file locations are being present, you can trigger the automation, and then you can put up the activities based on the file you want to do. So very quick overview on starting resources. There are three types: schedule automation, file drop, and trigger automation. File drop is for Marketing or FTP, and trigger automation is for external resources. So as you can see, there are a lot of activities over here which you can put up on Marketing Cloud. In Automation Studio. So I'm going to cover a couple of activities over here in this, which is very much helpful for your Marketing Cloud admin certification. So first, before I go on the activation, I want to just put up one more point about notification settings, because in admin certification, this question is coming up very frequently. Like, if you want to have a notification which is failing or something happening to a notification, can you send out a notification? So in the automation, once you run and once you set up the automation, you have a notification setting. So I'm just covering this topic because this is a very frequent question coming up in admin certification. So just remember this. On automation side, you have a notification settings. So let's go on the activities now. So before we go on activities, there's another point is, like, if you want to run the activities, or if you have three activities and you want to run only three activity out of three, you want to run only two or one, or something you want to select, then you can select those activities and then run it based on whatever you need. It's just a one-time kind of thing. Now in a Marketing Cloud activities, I want to cover the first one is send email activity. Let's say example, you want to send out an email to 100 subscribers every month or every year, then you can put up a send email activity. I'm not going over entire activity, but what is primarily consists of 5 different steps. One is you're gonna select a message. Second is you're gonna define your properties. Then you're gonna define your audience, like what all audience you have to send out. Then you're gonna configure delivery. Okay, what is the from email address? What will be the you know reply to address and all those things, and then a summary, and then you set up the email activity. So send email activity is very much simple in terms of understanding. If you want to send out an email, then you're gonna use the send email activity. So the second activity is SQL query. So SQL query is an activity which you can use to query on the existing data extensions or the data views which are being provided by Marketing Cloud. So essentially what you can do is you can query on the data extensions which are present on Marketing Cloud or the data views which are being coming up, which are being given by Marketing Cloud. So this is a one sample screenshot like how the SQL query looks like. You can mostly use all the SQL functions whatever is there in SQL. So this is the one screenshot which can help you out to understand how the SQL query looks like and what all you can put up as a kind of SQL query. So before I go data views, it's very important to understand data views because there are a lot of questions comes on data views in the admin certifications. So let me just open this quickly. So multiple data views out there, but I would go over very popular data views which you would like to use. The first one is bounce. So in a bounce data view, what happens is if you have an email which are being sent out to the customers or to the audience, then when you want to find out, hey, how many are really bounce and what is the status like? Are they soft bounce, hard bounce, or they're block bounce? All those kind of things. It comes up in bounce categories, subcategory IDs, types, what is the message, what is the reason, all those information for a bounce related thing of an email comes in this bounce view. Now there's another view called click. Click is a view where when a user clicks on a link on a particular email, and if you want to see how many clicks are being done so far on what kind of emails, so all those click kind of information you get, links, clicks, or anything on an email click will be coming up in the click data view. Now the other one is open. If the emails are open, then if let's say you send out 100 emails to 1,000 customers and you want to see what emails are being opened by which customer, then you can see the data view open. It will give you the details about, okay, what is the which email has been opened or not. So you have to go to the emails via multiple job IDs and list IDs and batch IDs, but yes, this view will give you a quick overview on how many emails have been opened. Similarly, send, how many emails are being sent, and the other one is unsubscribe, because when you send out an email there's an unsubscribe link. So how many users have been unsubscribed will be coming up in this unsubscribe table. So these databases are important for Marketing Cloud admin certification, just to understand what the different, mostly 6 which I just explained are mostly coming up in these certifications. So bounce, click, open, send are very much easy to understand. Just keep a reference in your mind. Now import file activity. So there's another activity in automation which is called import file activity. What it do is it actually imports the data from file into a DE, right? So if you want to import the data from a file and put up in a DE, then we use import file activity. And mostly what happens is if you're importing, encrypting, or compressed file, then there's a very popular question coming up. So if you are importing a file and the file is encrypted, then before you do an import, you do a file transfer activity, which I'm going to explain a little bit what is file transfer activity. But there's a file transfer activity in Automation Studio which decrypts the file, put up in a safe house, and then you can use the import file activity into a data extension. Primarily couple of things. You have to have the file location. Mostly file locations are either is you're in marketing or FTP or wherever you want to put the file into, you have to define that file location. Then mostly it's a marketing or FTP. You have to select that, and then you're gonna select the import folders and file name, pattern, and date format delimiter, and then you can use that. And once your file activity is being done, you can have, this is the screenshot you looks like, you have to do mappings and all those things. Now file transfer activity. File transfer activity is like if you want to transfer a file from one place to other place, like you want to move a file from marketing FTP to Amazon S3. Let's take an example. Then what you're gonna do first is you're gonna create a file location first, where you're gonna location type would be Amazon S3, or location type can be Google Cloud or Azure Cloud. There are multiple location types are being given by Marketing Cloud. So you can define that first location first where you want to transfer, and then you're gonna use the destination whatever you had selected. Let's say example you selected a custom folder, then that folder will come up over here, and then you can move your file from one place to other place via file transfer activity. There's other piece of transfer file is you can encrypt or decrypt as well via file transfer activities. This is also important useful thing of file transfer activities. There's another thing which is substitution string, which is very much coming up in the certification. So let me just quickly open that link as well. So let's say example you put up a file on a Marketing Cloud and you want to see, you don't know the file name. Let's say example, right? You don't remember the file name, or you don't want to hard code this file name thing. Then what you can do is you can put up a substitution string, which is called file name from trigger. So there are multiple things: file name from trigger base, or file name base file name from trigger, and all those things. All the examples have been present. So if you don't want to keep an extension, then just put up a base file name. If you want to keep only the file name, that's it. Or if you want to put up a entire prefix and suffix and everything, then you can put up a file name from trigger. But mostly it's been asked what is file name from trigger on a high level. So if you don't know the file name, or let's say example someone dropped the file and you put up the wrong file name into this particular piece file name pattern, then what you can do is you can directly put up a substitution string and it will pick up the files whatever it comes in. So substitution strings are important just to understand. It's a very simple straightforward thing. How many substitution strings are being given by Marketing Cloud? Mostly 3: file name from trigger, file name from trigger base, and file name from base file name from trigger. Mostly are not questions are coming up in a confusing way where they're putting up all these 4 options. They are just asking like a scenario based question coming in. Hey, somebody put the file on a FTP server or SFTP server, file doesn't went through, what can be an error? So in one of the option would be this particular option where can we use file name from trigger, then that would be an answer for it. There's other thing called filter activities. So filter activities are kind of first of all you have to get data filters first in Email Studio. So what happens is you want to send an emails to 500 customers which are being only living in New York. So let's take example, and you have a database, you have a subscriber audience of entire US. Then what you're gonna do first is you're gonna create a data filter in Email Studio, and you're gonna define the data filter. Okay, city equals New York City, and then you're going to use the data filter in the filter activity to just filter out all those audience whatever you're coming up in data filter. So basically it will be just a filter kind of thing based on extensions what you have. So let's say example you have data extension of 100 people and you want to just get 10 people, so put up a data filter and filter activity, and then after that you can send an email. So filter activity is another thing. You just create a new filter activity like this and have your data filters stored first in your Email Studio, and then select the data filters and then just complete this activity. Data extract activity is a kind of thing where you want to extract the file and convert that file somewhere. Like if you want to convert a file to an XML or XML file to CSV or something, if you want to have a conversions or something, you want to extract the zip file, so all those transformations, if you want to do it, let's say somebody upload a zip file and you want to extract it, then you can use the data extract activity to extract it, and then you can move on. So in data extract activity, there's a one very renowned question coming in the audit log. So there's a other feature in data extract activity is an audit log, where you can track and or put up the events or track everything whatever has been happening. So there are 2 types of audit logs we have. One is event, another is action. So event is like where you can select all the events have been happening, like bounce, clicks and everything. Action is something you can talk about in a setup perspective. Now, without further ado, I will just go over a couple of questions on MC admin so that you can understand what the admin questions looks like. So let's say example, let me just read a question. A customer will provide a single daily file on a marketing SFTP at 3 a.m. and needs an alert if the file is not present on time. So basically, if they're putting up on 3 a.m., that means you have, and the file is not present, then you should be putting up a schedule automation because you have to run the automation at 3 a.m. and then you have to check it out if the file is present or not. So there are four options. Definitely C and D would not be preferred because you want to run the automation at 3 a.m. So you will definitely select schedule automation. Now in the schedule automation also there's a file transfer activity and import file activity. So if you want to do an SQL query on a data extension, then what you're gonna do is you're gonna do the first of all import file, which you can put up in which can put up the data into data extension, and then you can put up a SQL query activity 1 and SQL query activity 2 to check it out if file is present or not and all those things. A option would not be there because we don't have to transfer any file somewhere or we don't have to decrypt it because in this question they had not put up that file is encrypted. So if the file was encrypted, then we can think about file transfer, but there's no encryption is been coming, so the answer should be B. Let's go on to the second question. On a marketing cloud, admin has configured a tracking extract, which I just showed you in data extract. They can configure it to include all subscriber attributes for the global region, but admin noticed there are some accented characters in the customer. So what are you gonna do? So technically what you should do is you should do a first of all conversion. So if there are accented characters out being present, so I would say, and that's very clear, colon and delimiter will not help because it will just add commas or semicolons which will not fix the accented character. So UTF-8 or Unicode output will definitely help you out to convert those accented characters into a different codes, unified code, and then you can you know uh, import that particular data. So for this particular question the answer should be B and C. Format to XML will not help because even if you put up an XML and accented code is there, then it will not help. So B and C as a straightforward answer for this question. Question number 3, like there's a company who is running the nightly automation consisting of file transfer and file import. Following an update from the engineering team that automation has been failing, the marketing automation suspects the CSV file now has an invalid format. So this question is a little bit tricky, but you need to understand there's a one more piece which I want to explain you on import file definition. So if you are talking about the import file, in the import file, if you see there's a notification, email notification. So email notification is only present on import file and on automations. So if a notification is, if in a question there's a question where we are using an import definition, then email notification is present, then you should select okay, you can put up an email notification or import. If import is not being used, then what you can do is you can put up a notifications on an automation, which I just explained a little bit earlier as well. So in a notification perspective, there are only three places. One is import file notifications we have, and then we have notifications on automation level. Now, so let's say example file has been failing and you want to know okay what is the bad data or you want to notify it. So there are four options out there. So first is move the file to its own automation and include automation email, include a notification email address. So now file transfer, you'll not have a notification email address. Move the import definition to its own automation, include a notification email address. Yes, that is possible because you can include notification email address. So A is not at all possible, B is definitely possible. C, update the import definition to include the notification email address. So C is also possible. And D is update the automation to include a notification email address for runtime errors. So B, C, and D are all possible, but let's find out the best one. So since it's an import definition, I would say don't put up a notification on automation. So this option goes out. Now coming down B or C, moving the import definition will not help you out. It's better to update the import definition to include notification email address. That will help you out. That will help an admin to find out whether it's been filled or not. So the answer would be, I would say C. And let's move on. Now the fourth question is, Northern Tail Outfitters requires all subscriber files placed on the FTP for import be encrypted. Which activity in Automation Studio could be used? I think this should be straightforward. If you want to encrypt, then there's only one option, which is called file transfer activity. Import activity will just import it. Data extraction activity will extract it, or conversion, but we are not looking for encryption. It is looking for encryption. So if you want to do encrypt, then file transfer activity is the right answer. There is no decryption activity in Marketing Cloud, so correct answer is C. Now this is another question, which is Marketing Cloud Administrator notice of file drop automation has been failing into the import file activity. The automation is configured with a file name pattern, so the file name is expected to begin with a custom import. The import is configured to look for a file name of a customer import. However, admin notice the file name includes seconds and milliseconds. So technically what is happening is you put up a file name like this, but the file name which is coming on a FTP server has a seconds and milliseconds. So how do you fix the issue? So if you're putting up second or milliseconds is not being provided, it's not been coming up. So what you can simply do is file name from trigger a substitute one, and that way whatever the file name will come in, it will fix the problem. Make sure team has a date stamp to avoid duplication. Doesn't make sense because every time when they have to upload a new file, you have to go back to automation, change it, which is not the right solution. Make sure the file presents the correct FTP subfolder. Definitely it is present in subfolder. They are mentioning that file name includes seconds and milliseconds, so this C option also doesn't work out. Use the exact file name for the trigger. I think exact file name will not help you out for the purpose of all the files you want to fix it for all the time. So A would be the right answer for this particular question. File name. Now this is another question on Marketing Cloud admin has been asked to get last 30 days of bounce data for their account. What should the admin use to do granular bounce? So if you want to have a bounce data coming in, you have to, I just explained that data views. And if you want to use the data views, you have to use SQL query, right? So CSV download of bounce data in my tracking. So there's a my tracking in Email Studio as well, where you can do a CSV download, but it will not give you the 30 days of all, predefined formats and everything in a bulk one. So automation studio tracking extract would not help you out, right? This is not tracking extract. So automation query studio will help you out because you have to do the bounce. So trackings will give you sent and clicks, but not the bounce. So you have to select the automation studio queries activity, and discover deliverability compliant rate report will not be applicable over here. So the correct answer is C. Oh, sorry, B. Hold on one second. Sorry, automation tracking extract because my bad. Sorry, automation tracking extract because you can put up bounce and tracking extract as well. So it's a tracking extract where you can put up a database extract. So if you do only query activity, then it will not give you the bounce ones. The seventh question is customer wants to automate a series of 3 emails as part of membership renewal drip campaign. Email 1 will be sent 1 month prior, email 2 will be sent 1 week, and email 3 will be on the renewal date. What are you gonna do it? So technically if you want to send out multiple emails, then you have to have the audience which will be changing based on the dates. So you have to do a data filter first because you have to find out which emails you have to send out on email 1, right? So import file activity will not work because you will not be using any files. 3, send activities with a master data extension to all the audience every time you're gonna send out. That is also not work because you want to send out for one email for renewal date and second for 1 week prior, right? Import file activity and 3 filter activities. So we don't need import file activity as well because we don't have any files. three filter activities is the right answer because you know because you will be putting up a filter on the audience and then you will be putting up three emails to particular filter audience. Question number 8. A publishing company has presented the following: a need to send renewal reminders to customers whose subscription is expiring 15 days and 7 days. A campaign needs to be created and managed by a general marketing user who will have administrative rights but not as he's not very much technical. A customer expiration date needs to be included in data file. So which components you're going to use? So definitely Automation Studio is the first one. Data filter will be the second one because we want to do a filtering on it, and then you want to send out an email. So BD is the right answer. Now, Marketing Cloud admin has scheduled a query on a daily basis. They notice the query sometimes fail to execute. How the admin ensure notification is received when the query fails. So in a query studio, in a SQL query, you don't have any notification settings. So you have a notification setting on a automation level only. So if add the email address in automation runtime error, skip runtime notification error, this can be a possible answer. Marketing Cloud app on phone, this will not help you out. Add their email address in query activity notification. We don't have any field like that in query activity. Configure the event notification service in CTAP. We don't have any event notification service in Marketing Cloud where you can put up the email address. So there's only one option. All those three options doesn't exist in Marketing Cloud. This option only exists. So you're gonna select A. So Northern Tail Outfitters plays the encrypted file on their Marketing Cloud SFTP for import into data extension. They are using a file transfer activity to decrypt the file. What would be decrypted data be after the file transfer activity is completed? So as I said, on a file transfer activity, you have to select a destination, because if you are doing a file transfer, then you're gonna select the destination as well. So, and you are transferring it, so data extension could not be working. Safehouse will not work. SFTP will not work. It will be working on whatever the selection you're gonna do as a destination. And this question is: Northern Trail Outfitters keeps their subscribers in sync with their external database via the import of a CSV file, which is dropped to the Marketing Cloud SFTP every day. So there's a file which is being dropped every day. However, NTO has realized that number of subscribers being sent email is considerably lower than the number they were expecting based on the records in the database. So basically, emails are going less compared to numbers of records they have in database. So how would the NTO will monitor all these records? So if they want to monitor external key with import file activity will not work because import file activity external key will not work. Run completion with the file drop automation. So I would say that will also not work. Basically, you don't have to put up a run completion because completions are happening. Runtime error with file drop automation. So that will also probably, you can put up a runtime error, but it will not help you out. Notification settings with the import file. Since you're importing a file over here, and if you see there's an error happening on import file, then this would be a better option, because when you're importing a file and if you see there's a file error, so this particular notification, so this is not notation, this is called notification settings with the import file activity. So D option would be the best, because if anytime if you want to do a notification import while import, then you should select the notification settings on import file rather than notification settings on file drop. So this concludes this Marketing Cloud admin certification for Automation Studio. Hope you will be able to clear it out. Best of luck.